Thank you to everybody that has joined the live tutorial and those who are watching it at a later time. I definitely appreciate you being here to engage with me, especially as 𝗙𝗀𝗟𝗄 mentioned, we are experiencing some difficult times. So I'm pretty sure you could be doing something else, but for you to be here with me is a great honor. So I am going to take you through a tutorial on incorporating design skills in the classroom with Canva. Okay, so for today's objectives, the main things that we will go through is learning how to use the basic functions in Canva in order to design educational infographics and posters. So I will take you through Canva as a web-based graphic design tool and just showing you ways in which you can engage your students and your pupils to create really innovative, interesting educational posters and infographics. I'll also share ideas and different examples on how teachers and students can use Canva to consolidate learning. So if, like myself, you teach a subject that isn't necessarily related to design and technology, or perhaps you have very minimal design experience, I'll give you ideas of ways in which you can link your subject to Canva and ways in which you can incorporate it in your classrooms. And lastly, build confidence to implement digital creativity in the classroom if you're someone who is a non-designer or has very limited design experience. Okay, so thinking about the challenges that as an educator or as a teacher you might face when it comes to encouraging your students to develop their design skills, I think number one would be time. So a number of you probably face time constraints when it comes to delivering the national curriculum in your subject area. You have a number of assessments, a number of students, and very little time when it comes to exploring things outside of maybe your specialism. When it comes to design and technology, especially if it's not your subject expertise, it might be something that you don't have the opportunity or even the confidence to engage your students with. Secondly, our students are living in a digital age. A lot of them, I would say, are extremely design and digitally literate. They probably have created their own websites. They can design their own social media posters and so forth. But then you also have other students who can only use or do the basic functions when it comes to design technology. So trying to have a common ground within a classroom setting can pose a lot of challenges for teachers because you just don't have the resources or maybe the means to engage all students with it in a classroom setting. And given that most of us now have moved to online or remote learning, I think Canva is an excellent tool for us to use in order to meet our students' needs. Thirdly, access to IT facilities in schools can also pose its own challenges. You might not be able to have a computer or a laptop access per student. So when students are sharing, it can be very difficult for them to really engage and tap into creating their own design resources. And as I've mentioned already, personally as a teacher, just thinking about your own design confidence or experience, if it's very limited, it's probably not a priority in the classroom for you. Whereas when we look into Canva as this web-based application, you'll see how accessible it is for you as a teacher with very limited experience in this area, as well as for your students. And when we are thinking towards the future for our students, the current labour market does require them to be extremely literate when it comes to design technology. And if we're thinking about our students being employable and meeting that skills gap, this is an area that we do actually have to incorporate in our teaching delivery. So this is what I'm going to take you through. Okay, so what is Canva? Hopefully you recognize the logo. Maybe you've used it or you've seen some of their advertisements around on the web. But in its basic form, Canva really is a graphic design web-based platform, and it allows its users for free to create visual content, and that could be in the form of posters, it could be a resume or a CV, it could be in the form of a postcard, social media graphics, and infographics, as I'm going to take you through today. Okay, so in order to access Canva, you will need to set up your own account using their website. So as I mentioned, it is a free service for anybody to use. So as a teacher, you can access this as well as your students. So you simply have to go to the Canva website, which is www.canva.com. Click sign up, as you can see on the top right-hand corner, and you input your name, your email address, and choice of password. Now, Canva does actually have a pro version. The pro version allows you to access a lot more photographs, images, graphics, and other design tools. However, if you do sign up for what is called Canva for Education as an educator, Canva gives you that pro access for free. What you would need to do, however, is you need to register with your school email address. When you register with your school email address, Canva will contact you and would ask you for proof of your employment at that school. And it's a really easier way, I would say, to engage your students with Canva because it syncs with Google Classroom. So if you have Google Classroom and you have your own groups or your classes registered to it, it merges all those contacts directly into Canva. But if you don't have access to a school or your work email address, you can just use the basic Canva version, which is what I'm going to take you through today because it's very straightforward. Okay, so when you do register and sign up, you'll be taken to your homepage, which looks something like this. So I'm just going to come out of presenter mode so I can show you a live demo. This is my homepage. As you can see on the left-hand side, we have a number of different sections. So here you can see that this is where all my designs that I've created will be stored. I can also create folders, and there are a number of templates. Now, Canva itself, for the basic function, the basic version has over 60,000 templates. So you're never really short of a template for whatever purpose you might need. And it really allows you to edit to your own preference to meet your specific needs. So what I'm going to do is create a design. Oops, going to click on create a design. And because we are looking at infographics, so we want our students to be able to produce a visual representation of what they've learnt within our classroom. I'm just going to click on that. All right, great. So once you logged in and you click on create a design, you can see that I'm in the template section. Now, this is actually my design page here, and it's blank. You do have an opportunity, if you want your students to create something completely from scratch. And that's perfectly fine for someone who feels extremely confident to do that. But some of us would prefer to modify and edit some of the templates, as we can see over here. So we are just going to look in this section, education infographic, but there are a number of templates that you can go through in your own time. So I'll just click here. And as you can see, if I scroll down, we have some templates. So I want to, first of all, create a book review. So I'm just going to click on this template here. And if I just take you back to my slide. So what I've done is I've generated a couple of different ideas of how you could use Canva in your classroom. So ways in which your students can be creative, they can be innovative by creating their own graphic designs, but it still links directly to your subject and it demonstrates the knowledge and understanding that they've covered in your topic area. So for example, you could ask your students, set them a task to produce their own book review. Now, a traditional book review might be in written form, and the students will draw a small little picture of maybe a character that they've come across within the book. But again, thinking about those essential design and technology skills, you could use Canva instead. So this is the final product that you can see on the right-hand side. The book that I, as a pretend student, have created is of the book Animal Farm. And as you can see, I've input a couple of texts describing my view of the book. I've rated it, and I've done a description on my favorite character. So what I'm going to do is just go back to the live mode to show you pretty much step by step how I delivered this final product. Okay, so this is the template that I've selected, and you can see, other than the colors, it doesn't really look much like my final piece. Now, there are a couple of functions that you can use in Canva in order to produce a result that's quite similar. So the first one I want to show you is this function here, photos. So if we have a look, you have access in the standard package to about 2 million photos. If you have the pro version, then you'll have access to about 60 million. So you're never really short of choice. Now, one of the main images in the book is a windmill. So all I have to do in the search tool is just click that and then select a windmill of my choice. Some of these images you will see have the Canva logo, like this one, which means it's only part of the pro package. So you can pay a one-off price for it, or if you have the Canva for Education, it's free. But I'll prefer to use a free image. So all I have to do is click, and as you can see, it drops it into my page. It's a drag and drop tool, so I can move and I can place the image wherever I want to. I can resize it, and using the grids and the margins, I can make sure that maybe my image is justified, it's in the middle, or I can place it further to the left or the right. So it's a very simple tool to import images, and I can, if I wanted to, add a filter. So I'm just going to put a whimsical filter just so it blends in a bit more with my theme. And this is where your students really start to think about placement, they think about colors, they think about use of space as well. So it's getting them to be extremely creative, again, going away from maybe the traditional format of just writing a text review. So you can see that there's already text in here. I'm just going to edit it just to show you it's quite straightforward. So I just highlight and I put in the book name, Animal Farm. I can also change the color. Again, if I highlight the text, select text color, and I just choose one of the colors here, or go to this matrix and select one of my preference. So that's the text and the photo option. I can also use one of the functions which is called elements. So if I just have a click here, you would see in the elements section, it gives you access to more clip art style images as well as shapes. So I do have a rating system, and I'm just going to input star, and I want this image. It's a free image, so all I have to do is click and it places it into my design area. Now, what's really cool with Canva is that your students have the opportunity to really be as creative as they want to be. So I can just click on this image, and if I want, I can input it with the color to match the theme of my stars. And then you can see my rating. I've given this book 5 stars. All right, at the very bottom, here I have some text about one of the main characters. So for example, if this was an activity set by an English teacher, but I can't find a horse that I think is matches the theme of my infographic. So what I can do is I can go to the upload section, and I can download an image from the internet into my personal folder, and I can upload it to Canva. So if you don't have the Pro option and you don't want to pay for images, and you can't find something in the basic version, you can just save images from the internet, and Canva stores these images for you to use at a later time of your preference. So you can see that I have a couple of images on the side that I've used previously in other projects. So now that I've got my bookmark, you can spend as long as you want on it, changing the background. But if you look at the template, the original template, you can see that it's quite different from the final product just because I've tweaked a couple of things. Now, you might have students who are extremely adventurous and a lot more confident using such design and technology platforms. So you could just give them a blank page, or you could just give them a basic template for them to use and play around with.